It's time for the moment you've been waiting for. Da, 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 da,
So, this is going to be one of the heaviest moveset videos I have ever done, because we have an insane Pokemon that on paper just seems outrageously busted, but in practice, it's almost non-existent for being too one-dimensional. But what if you go deep into the numbers and learn every possibility about this Pokemon? Does it actually become the best? Well, that's what this video is about, so if you enjoy it, don't forget to leave a like, share with your friends, and comment your thoughts down below. So what is going on with Maushold? This, Population Bomb, a 20 base power move that can hit 10 times. That's a 200 base power move potentially, but Technician gives it 50%. Normal typing, Stab, gives it another 50%. You can Terrastalize it to get another 30% on top of it. How is that even possible? How is that even legal on a 111 speed Pokemon that gets the speed creep? Where does that put it? So yeah, a decent amount outspeeds it, but you have to like consider Pokemon that are actually played. You don't see the Sneasel, don't see Persian, Floatzel, some other Pokemon like that. Doug Trio, but at least it's not the most threatening thing. So like, yeah, you just have speed creep. Anything slower than you gets absolutely demolished. 75 attack, that's low, but it stops mattering when you're doing Population Bomb, Technician, crazy amounts of damage. Then 74, 70, 75. This is kind of standard, you get destroyed territory, but you can survive something at least. So let's look into the items then. We have Wide Lens, and that's because of how Population Bomb works. It doesn't have different chances to hit a different amount of times like other multi-hit moves. It has an accuracy check for every hit of its 90% accuracy. So it makes sense you go for the Wide Lens, because that means you have a 99% chance to hit each of your Population Bombs. Now this puts it a little over 90% to get all 10 times. That means it's still very likely to get a 9 hit, which is still an insane amount of damage, and very, very likely to get at least an 8 hit. So what does all of that look like? It looks like this. So damage calculators don't know what to do with this move or this Pokemon right now. Like normally if you put in the Bullet Seed, it will give you the amount of hits. But as it stands right now, Population Bomb is factored for the maximum amount of hits, which is why I just put in like a random attack, set it down to 20 power. Just kind of show like this is roughly the amount of damage you are doing per hit. And that's going to change things around because like you land 9 tackles, pretty much KOing the Palafin still, and Palafin being one of the tankiest regular Pokemon you're going to see. However, say this is a Garchomp, which is roughly as tanky, you get mauled because Population Bomb makes contact, which also means Rocky Helmet is going to destroy your Pokemon. So make sure you're not just like actually it kind of goes both ways. That if you have a Garchomp on your team and the opponent's using Maushold, just switch in the Garchomp and let Rough Skin take the wheel. But also, if you're playing Maushold, be aware of that as an option. Also, try to scout the Rocky Helmet before you just start blindly throwing one of the most powerful moves we've ever seen. You can't really go Adamant Nature because you need as much speed as possible, so we're not factoring in that for the damage. We just hurt. Now, what about full defense tank Pokemon? So Gargantasalt, kind of cheating because it has a resisted hit, but we can see how the damage and the numbers start getting pretty weird. So Population Bomb, not a crazy amount, even if like Terra's into the flying type and becomes neutral, but just kind of shows that like a full defensive tank or a hit point invested tank that has natural bulk will not get one shot. If we go back to the rock typing, we can also see that the amount of damage is so crazy that a super effective hit versus the resisted hit doesn't really change too much. Like a 4-hit Bullet Seed is going to be doing a bit more damage than the maximum hit population bomb, and then we also have the 5 hits on the bullet seed, which is why there's loaded dice here. Do you run the loaded dice? That way your alternative moves can hit 4 to 5 times, thus doing that much damage. And Garganasalt doesn't really have a reliable one-hit KO onto the Maushold. Like, it can throw a fissure, can maybe sprinkle some salt, put you on a timer, but it's not a threatening amount of damage, so you outspeed, bullet seed hits 4 times, bullet seed hits 5 times, you're converting KOs. And that brings us to the loaded dice, because loaded dice is the multi-hit move item. If you have a Pokemon whose entire identity is multi-hitting, shouldn't you be running the loaded dice instead? No, because of how weird the interaction is with Population Bomb being an accuracy check. Population Bomb hits 4 to 10 times, each of those times having an equal chance. So a 1 in 7 chance of just hitting 4. Well, if you hit 4, you're not going to be doing much damage to anything, so you're really not getting any value out of it. Also, with the loaded dice, Population Bomb just has the 1 accuracy check, and then it kind of becomes a standard multi-hit move. So it's like a 4 in 7 chance that you hit 7 to 10 times, which is still going to be a crazy amount of damage. And if you don't have loaded dice or wide lens, then you're just doing 90% every time, which kind of gets to 6-ish hits on average. Now, this is where things kind of get weird for Choice Band, because Choice Band giving you 50% damage, if you kind of get on odds and land like 6 of them, close to a 10-hit Population Bomb, but then there's a chance you like land 7 or 8, or you get like super giga RNG, and then you land like 9 or 10 Population Bomb Choice Band, and now you're just hard winning the game. Or you hit 2 Population Bomb, the damage doesn't matter no matter what you do, and you just lose it on the spot. So really, like, Wide Lens is kind of the only item for this Pokemon. After that, there's like some other things maybe worth considering, because we have this other crazy move in Tidy Up. You gain +1 attack, +1 speed, and it clears all substitutes and hazards, and you don't have to clear anything for it to work. You just Dragon Dance. You get Dragon Dance on a Pokemon that has like the strongest move to ever exist. So now you can patch in on that 75 attack. You can change up your moves, so you're just getting that damage. This also means that other Scarf Pokemon or just naturally faster Pokemon won't be able to catch you. So you Tidy Up, take the hit, Focus Sash breaks, and then you just hit them with a Population Bomb and they get destroyed. Now, this right here isn't a moveset. This is just kind of showing the other options that you can bring to the Maushold. So do you also like just have everything? You Tidy Up, Focus Sash for sweeping Pokemon, you Taunt just for any kind of setup Pokemon, Taunt, Tidy Up the switch, and now you're just sweeping everything. Low Kick for that rock coverage, but kind of, actually also, Low Kick is going to be good for Steel-type Pokemon, and because they're heavier, you're going to be getting that extra damage, and that +1, super effective, doesn't feel as terrible on the 75 attack. But if you have the Technician ability, you just want to have the Bullet Seed. Also, Super Fang, kind of an option to like Super Fang, you know, soften up the tanky Pokemon and then finish it up with a Population Bomb. That's kind of an idea, so your moveset can come together in different kind of ways with this. But now, this is a problem that we see with a lot of modern Pokemon, that it has one gimmick. It's very one-dimensional. It does a thing. A tanky Steel-type Pokemon makes this not matter at all, which is why we're not seeing Maushold. Also, the prevalence of Garganasalt makes it harder for Maushold to exist. And then just a Ghost-type Pokemon. As long as the opponent has a Ghost-type Pokemon, Maushold never gets to pop off. A +1, 75 attack, super effective Crunch doesn't really threaten a lot of things, and then Maushold just gets obliterated by the return hit, so yeah, like, you need to build your team around removing rock and steel-type Pokemon and kind of like anti-bulking some of them, and you also have to deal with ghost-type Pokemon as well. So there's like kind of this world where Maushold can be the ultimate cleanup Pokemon, where that also kind of makes it weird on the Wide Lens, that there's really never going to be a scenario where Maushold enters the game, is faster than everything, and then can Population Bomb through an entire team. That starts getting into 0.1% of Timmies, and even then, I don't think it's possible to just do this and win on a Maushold. Also, you can run a Wide Lens instead of the Focus Sash. Like, you really just look for that in where you know you're going to survive the hit. Doesn't matter if you're just hanging on 5%, unless the opponent has priority, which is also another thing that can undo the Maushold. But like, if you could Tidy Up the Wide Lens, yeah, we saw how crazy this damage is. Nothing survives extra when you're at that +1. Jeez. Well, except for Garganasalt and Steel-type Pokemon. Yikes. So you have to consider your options, not for the hee memes, Maushold just kind of wins, but for the deep mid-game and late game. What gives Maushold the biggest chance of success? Now, entry hazards have really dropped off, so you're not going to see too many of them to like break your Focus Sash, and the Focus Sash plus Tidy Up does give you that chance to like outspeed the opponent's Scarf Pokemon that's also trying to clean you up, or the Sweeper that's just been hanging out in the back, waiting for its time to come in and finish off the weakened tanks and the leftover Pokemon. So with this, like Tidy Up, yeah, if you can land 6, not even 6, like at that point if you're landing 5 Population Bombs, maybe even 4 at a +1 on a Pokemon that's at 50%, that's all you need to do, especially on a frail Pokemon. Like, this is the Palafin damage. So let's go and bring this into something like the Jolteon. What does it take to KO the Jolteon? Dial this down to level 50. Even getting rid of the +1, like, yeah, you land 5 Population Bombs without the wide lens, and like that's KOing just super frail Pokemon. We can look at a Pokemon like the Meowscarada. Meowscarada, 76-70, pretty comparable bulk to the Maushold, and once again, we dial this down, and we do crazy amounts of damage. So, if you're at the +1, you only need to land 4 of these, effectively. So not only do you tidy up the field, you're playing to tidy up the game. And that's also kind of like where weird things could happen, because Focus Sash trying to preserve that, but also tidying up is meant to clear hazards. However, there's also like multiple ways to spin and defog and clear hazards that way. So you might want a defogger behind the Maushold and you're only using Tidy Up as a Dragon Dance and nothing more. Because Population Bomb crushes frail Pokemon so hard, you know, you can maybe do some other things outside the wide lens. Like, that's where the loaded dice has a slightly compelling argument as long as you're running it with the Bullet Seed, because you want that Bullet Seed to hit other things that the Population Bomb can't handle, and you want to get the most damage out of that with your Technician. And also, Tidy Up means, okay, now the +1 Bullet Seed with the Technician is starting to hurt and threaten things. Annihilape is kind of a naturally fat Pokemon, but at least being able to do like 60% to it on that +1 with a 4-hit Bullet Seed, the 5-hit Bullet Seed now kicking up the damage, and that means if you go Terra Grass, you're one-shotting a bulky Pokemon like Annihilape in the neutral? So, the weird thing about Terra is, like, some Pokemon, they almost always want to Terra, they're like your main Terra gimmick. Other Pokemon, they just want to have that for the just-in-case. For the just-in-case scenario where the opponent is actually, like, low enough and in that position to where, oh, if I Terra Grass my Maushold right now, I get rid of the only threat, I go back to destroying everything on Population Bomb, and we win the game. So, that's where things, like, get extra weird. So that means your moveset has the loaded dice, and it's looking something like this. That way, like, you have the low kick to at least do something to a Steel-type Pokemon so you don't get completely obliterated. The Bullet Seed can, like, cover for the Population Bomb extra as well, and then, like, Terra Grass for the ultimate out, and, like, you're kind of doing it to him. And that kind of shows that you don't need the taunt, because you're not really running this Pokemon as, like, a lead to try to just go and rocket off into the game and shut down the opponent's setup and get a free Tidy Up. Again, you're just kind of playing the game to get that +1, make your Population Bomb effectively feel like it has wide lens in most situations. Like, again, you could still flub a 2 and just lose on the spot, so it's your RNG tolerance if you want loaded dice versus the wide lens, but then the loaded dice kind of gives you that Bullet Seed out with the Terra Grass, and that's also giving you, like, this is changing losses into wins right here, but this is also turning wins into losses. Low kick, Tidy Up, like, maybe this is the secret, as well as just perfecting the playstyle around Maushold's win condition. Or maybe none of this matters, and this is the only way to run Maushold. Now, we've seen this before, because you go Skill Link Chinchino, now that's actually going to have 115 speed, so it's a little better, and then, like, you're hitting 5 hits, and you're going to have a high chance to flinch on a higher attack, and then, like, the Tail Slap is also kind of weird. So, Tail Slap, Chinchino isn't in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, which is why it says illegal, but Tail Slap has 25 damage, so slightly more damage on slightly more attack, while also going Skill Link and hitting the 5 times, balancing out with, like, the average 6 of a Population Bomb, and then, like, you just flinch anything below you, you 2-shot them, and you win. Maushold, though, with the Population Bomb hitting on an average of 6 times, Oh, that's just Serene Grace. Where Togekiss is doing a lot of damage on its Air Slash with the 120 special attack, Choice Scarf puts it into some really good speed tiers, and then there's a 60% chance to lock out your opponent. Now, there's nothing funnier than getting like the crazy RNG, hitting someone with 8 population bombs, and then they get flinched. Or the even crazier RNG of landing a single population bomb, and then they get flinched. So I think the best way of playing Maushold is just to embrace chaos. You leave it in the hands of fate. Do you just roll crazy population bombs and then you still one-shot a Jolteon? Do you just say, you know what, I'm gonna get that 30% chance I one-shot the opposing Gyarados before it gets a chance to Dragon Dance? Also, that's kind of like a weird interaction with King's Rock and Population Bomb. Is like, this gives you the extra odds on top of the odds. Like, if you only hit 4 population bombs, that's kind of whatever, it's under the average hit of Population Bomb, doing decent damage, but then you're backed up by like a 38% chance to flinch the opponent, which is pretty solid. Like, if Population Bomb only lands 3 times, 30% flinch isn't bad. Like, it is pretty bad if that's like, oh, I don't get 30% chance to flinch, my Maushold gets one shot. That's a good amount of bailout. You see that on the Rock Slide. Also, moves like Dark Pulse with a 20% chance to flinch just win games. And this guy's like, no, my Master Ball game! And watch me talk all this shit and lose. Definitely happening. Oh, that's a 30-month member sub. Yeah, that is fat. Thank you very much, Nerth. Uh-oh. We lose. And if you find that flinch, that means you don't have to land a big population bomb to win the game. As for the moveset, do you run it with the Tidy Up? Like, I think it might just be worth having Tidy Up here, so you just have it. Like, if they have a Dragonite and maybe they try to get greedy, so like they Dragon Dance, but then you Tidy Up, so now you're faster and you just found free damage. So if you can trade setup with an opponent, that's cool. If you just have like a hit where you know the opponent is like scarfed or they're locked into a move, or they just don't have the damage because they're not as like high damage of the sweeper, then it's like, oh, I survive with 20% health. I can get the Tidy Up in here. That means like the Population Bomb can't screw you over as hard. You get those damage outs, and then you're just playing on that King's Rock. Or do you just put some kind of other move here? Like maybe now the Crunch, because you're not going for like the +1 Bullet Seed Terra shenanigans, maybe the Crunch is what you need sometimes. You just come in and hurt something. Is there random Espeon missing 40% health after setting up screens early on, but now those screens have worn off, you're deep into the battle, Maushold is coming in, and like the Crunch reliability damage is what you need to win? Also like Terra Ghost, pretty common, so maybe they just Terra Ghosted a random Pokemon on their team, and now you get to hit it. Also Golden Go, very problematic with the Bullet Seed and the Low Sweep. Now, Crunch isn't really going to be bringing a lot of damage here, but it's about that setup, that if you have 3 Pokemon left, you sack off the last 2 just to get Golden Go in red, or like in its last third of health, land the Crunch, now you win the game. Golden Go's out of the way, Population Bomb the last Pokemon, you win. So there's 3 ways to play the Maushold, and this is going to be in ascending order of power. We have Consistency, we have Calculated Late Game, and then Pure Chaos. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you all have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.